Hello and welcome to the Chicago Auto Show. Welcome to the Toyota bZ4X. This is a full battery electric Toyota in sort of an SUV size. It can be had in front wheel drive, all wheel drive. I'm going to tell you everything we know about it, take you on a full tour of the car, and even show you how it's kind of designed and engineered underneath the skin. So let's get into the bZ4X. I'm going to first take you through some specifications of the car and talk about the front wheel drive versus the all-wheel drive. It's also worth noting that this is built on a shared platform, and there's 3 vehicles that we know of today that will be built sort of underpinning these cars. And it's going to be the Subaru Solterra, it'll be this bZ4X, and then Lexus will have their own, and I don't know what it's called because I'm forgetting. Anyway, this one is a sort of maxed out trim, right? So this has kind of everything on it. So has everything. Let's talk battery pack capacity, motors, all this good stuff. So first off, the front wheel drive has a 150 kilowatt front motor, and it has a 71.4 kilowatt hour battery pack. And forgive me for referencing some notes here. The big thing for me is 150 kilowatt front motor, that's pretty good. Front wheel drive though, for a 2-wheel drive EV doesn't make so much sense to me, but thankfully you can get an all-wheel drive version. But here's where it gets complicated. Your 150 kilowatt front motor goes away, and then you have 2 80 kilowatt motors making a total system output of 160 kilowatts. So where's the opportunity? You know, you could have just left the 150 kilowatt front motor and slapped in the 80 in the rear or 150 in the rear and made it pretty spicy. So I'm not sure why the all-wheel drive only gets 10 more kilowatts, but not the end of the world, still 160 kilowatt output. When you compare that to vehicles like the ID.4 rear-wheel drive, that's 150 kilowatt output, right on the money, right with everyone else. It's just not in an all-wheel drive configuration, or a rear biased configuration, I should say. Let's talk charging. Oh, one last thing before I do that is, forgive me as I put in this password, I have to talk battery packs. So 2 different battery packs here. As I mentioned, there is the battery pack for the front wheel drive, which is 71.4 kilowatt hours. And again, I believe that's total power, not usable. That's what it says here on the site. And then the all-wheel drive gets 72.8 kilowatt hours. So you get another kilowatt hour and a bit in the all-wheel drive trim. Maybe it's a chemistry change. I'm not exactly sure. If you do know, leave it down in the comments. But here we go. Charging. Interesting charge port location, very similar to Audi e-tron, Mustang Mach-E right up here. It's pretty standard at this point. It does mean for those pull-through stations, specifically like the Electrify America ones, you got to get really close, but they have the long cables on them, so it's usually not an issue. Onboard charger for J1772 level 2 charging, 240 volt, 6.6 kilowatt onboard charger. And then DC fast charging is a peak of at least claimed 150 kilowatts. You guys know we'll be testing this. They also claim 1 hour from 10 to 80, is it, Jordan? 0 to 80 is 1 hour. Ugh. Anyway, let me show you how this car is kind of compromised from a chassis standpoint. So I'm going to run down to the off stage here. We're going to go down over to the chassis as I run down. And here's kind of a breakdown of the bZ4X. Take a look at this thing. So you can see they claim it has a super rigid body structure. This is on an all-wheel drive model, of course, so you have an 80 kilowatt rear motor, an 80 kilowatt front motor. You can see the inverter on top of the front motor there. And then the blue bits are sort of the cooling strategy for the battery pack. So it's bottom plate cooled, which is pretty interesting. You have your battery pack broken into modules. It's all fairly standard, doesn't look good. And again, 71, 72 kilowatt hour battery pack is sizable. It's not like it's got a 50 kilowatt hour pack in here. They claim about a 250 mile range on this. I'm not sure if that's based off of EPA, WLTP, or what exactly. My guess would be EPA, because this is Toyota USA claiming it, and that's how we rate our electric cars. But the big question for me is the price. I mean, we just don't know what this will come in at. So it could be hugely variable. So, you know, the specs aren't class leading in any metric. You have a front wheel biased electric car. The all-wheel drive should be pretty good at 80 kilowatts each in terms of balance, but why not give it 150 kilowatts each? I mean, even that wouldn't be too much power. You know, 400 something horsepower in an electric car isn't class leading. It's not blowing anyone away. So there's your drivetrain stuff. We don't know the price. We don't really know the range. let me take you on a tour of the car, because this is where it's getting pretty exciting. It's really growing on me too. For the last auto show that we saw this at, we've seen this for like ever, but we've never filmed anything in depth with it. I've always looked at it and been like, what is going on up here? And today, for some reason, maybe it's just because it's sunk in a little bit, I think this thing looks great, really do. This looks awesome, painted, much better than the Subaru plastic in my opinion. The headlight unit, really nice. Overall, like a good shape, good size car too. I really think we're gonna see these becoming very popular from Toyota loyal customers who want an electric car. Interesting little thing here is the camera is off-centered here. Not sure why, that's quite annoying. And no more blue badges for Toyota. So hybrids and are basically have this sort of gloss finish with a blue background in them. No longer, I guess. Anyway, two-tone scenario here. So you have your standard paint color, you have black. I think it's only black on these sides. Could be a dark gray. I don't know. I think a lot of people will wrap it one color, but that's just my guess. Here's the charging port, by the way, up close. Very sort of, I don't know if this is final, but very cheap and plasticky feel to it, I have to say. This is probably one of the ugliest charge ports I've ever seen, to be totally honest. It's very plasticky, very, I don't know, feels very prototypey.
You can't do it all at once like BMW.
Oh, you can't do it all at once?
Nope.
Even if I click the button? Yeah, everyone go look at our iX review and i4 review. That's how you design charge port flaps. Looks like we have keyless entry, which is really nice, blind spot monitoring. I'm gonna hop in the driver's seat, so why don't you see how this looks. It's beeping, so let me shut the door. There we go, normal beep. And there you are, coming around. Take a look in here. So I have to say the seat, I'm just putting it down. Yeah, it goes pretty far down. You can adjust front and rear independently, which is nice. There's also lumbar controls, only in and out, not up and down, at least in this particular one. The steering wheel can be moved from very low to low, and it can come out pretty far. Jordan, what in the world is going on with this dashboard? This looks like it was supposed to be here, and then it melted and you slammed on the brakes and it went very far away. I don't know what that, and the steering wheel's right down the middle of the screen for me. So you got to put it really low to see. So I guess you're supposed to look over the wheel, but it blocks kind of the front visibility out the hood too. I got to say, you probably want to sit pretty high in this car. It's not a very airy and spacious feeling. The glass roof starts fairly far back. There's a pillar right here. It just seems like an ID4 has a giant glass roof. Mustang Mach-E has a giant glass roof. Where does this fit in? It's got to be significantly cheaper than those cars, but we don't know pricing. Nice sort of carpeted material here on the dash. That's pretty good, I have to say. Yeah, glove box, I don't really know. This one's still a prototype, so if we can open everything, this slides, it seems like, and it does open. They have some things in there. Gear shifter is quite interesting. So you twist to the left for reverse, push for neutral, and twist to the right for drive, and then park is over here. So the whole center bit of your display here is taken up by your shifter. Then you have your electronic parking brake, auto hold, and then I assume one pedal driving or regen control. Eco mode, camera, X mode. They claim this has grip control for better off-road stuff. We're gonna put it through the Hill Climb Challenge. We'll see how it does on our overlanding channel. Then this is probably your speed control for X mode for off-road. It's like off-road cruise control. That's very interesting that it has that. So this should do probably well, we assume, in some of our off-roading stuff. Heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, an eco mode for your climate control, which is great. You have sort of these buttons to do fan pressure, sort of fan speed, where you want your air to go. You can sync the temperature. Has a heated, I imagine, where your wipers go, because it doesn't look like the windshield's heated. So a little heated ice situation. You can block it so the rear air vents don't come out, which I'll show you that here in a second. But nice cup holder situation here. Nice little phone charger, although I genuinely think phone chargers in cars aren't the most practical, but I do like how they hid it under this panel. And there's nice little hidden sort of squares in here. It gives it this sort of 3D effect. The steering wheel itself has a million buttons, but they're all on the inside, so you're never really going to hit them driving around, which is kind of nice. You have all of your adjustments on the left, all of your driver assistance on the right. It should do lane centering, adaptive cruise control, all of that good stuff. What do you say we hop into the back seat?
Turn off parking lights,
Yep, that's just because the lights are on. Sorry for the beeping. So, jumping in the back. So I'm sitting again behind myself, and this is a huge story right here, is just how comfortable and big this back seat is. First of all, great rear headroom, I have to say. I'm 6'1", and sitting normally, my head isn't touching. I can make it touch, but it's right up there. Also, interesting, look at this, Jordan, here. I can stick my hand all the way through this B-pillar, or this roof pillar. Why even put it there? What? I've never seen anything like that. You think you would design this to not have this pillar. That is so...
I guess it is pre-production.
That's wild. What? Anyway, you have USB-Cs everywhere, which is awesome. Although I do believe I saw a USB-A in that front compartment up there. Heated seats with the worst button actuation I've ever felt. That's pretty bad. I don't want to be harsh on this car because I am excited for it. And I think Toyota has needed to make an EV for a while. It's just like, this is Toyota. If you're not coming out with something that's smashing the competition in terms of specs in this sort of CUV market and undercutting them, I don't see the relevance. To me, really the only relevance is going to be people who own Toyotas, who are loyal to the brand and just want to lease another Toyota. I wish I could be more positive about it. Cup holders in the back, armrest, pretty comfortable. The big thing though is like, how is this going to drive? I have one huge complaint. Do you know what it is, Jordan?
No.
It's all of this piano black everywhere. And that could just be because it's a prototype, but like everywhere piano black, the entire front area, everything like that. Let's take a look at the trunk space. Back here, we have a power trunk right in the center. That's sweet. It shows the all-wheel drive badge on the back. This one's a limited trim and huge trunk. Look at this. And the seats do fold down and like super wide. If you come back in here, Jordan, and you take a look over on this side, take a look at that big area here. So you could easily fit golf clubs across. You even have this little shutter that can come out to here and then folds in. Really nice. That can be removed. And then underneath, some underfloor storage, some things they have, no big deal. They have a little 110 charger under there. I don't want to mess with their stuff because we're probably not even supposed to show it. But anyway, I have to say, like, design-wise, space-wise, it's really grown on me. LED headlights, taillights, LED turn signals all around. Like, it's a really actually good-looking car. It's the right size of an electric car. I just wish some of the electric bits were a little bit better. Anyway.
Are they a leader in electrification?
Are they a leader in the press release? They said Toyota's been a leader in electrification. They've been a leader in hybrids, but in zero way have they been a leader in electrification. Anyway, the bZ4X, thanks to Toyota for letting us film this thing. I hope driving it really brings out some more passion in me, but it's hard for me to get excited about something that has a all-wheel drive system that makes 10 kilowatts more than a rear-wheel drive. See you on the next.